If you wanted to make money in the stock market, especially in the last year, year and a half, where was the best place to invest? The answer was in microchip stocks, companies like Nvidia, chip makers, AI stocks. It was easy. It was very, very easy up until now. Are these still the best places to invest? Are there still stocks in that space? And if not, what exactly happened? Let's go ahead and break it down. If you have not been paying attention, there used to be a ton of AI semiconductor companies that were doing quite well. All of a sudden, it ain't. There are only but a handful of companies that are doing extremely well or just good in that space. So we need to talk about whether or not semiconductor stocks are still good to buy. Is this a time to buy them perhaps for a discount? Is this time to sell some of those stocks? And everything in between, especially for new investors. There's one thing about this particular category that I think you definitely need to know that I think will make you a much, much better investor from this point moving forward. So first, let's just set the table and set the scene. Over the last year, almost 2 years now, especially going into the last part of 2024, this is when we started hearing about ChatGPT, generative AI, and the artificial intelligence boom, really, when it came into public consciousness and came to the consumer in a way we had not really seen before. And that is when stocks like Nvidia absolutely took off, and everybody was talking about AI and chatbots and putting it in everything. And again, that is when Nvidia went from what it was doing in 2022, which was flailing all over the place, and when I was buying, and we talked about buying it here, and when it absolutely took off, it has not come down since. Thanks, Nvidia. Okay, but Nvidia and then every other chip maker, it felt like started to take off. Intel was good, Micron was good, Broadcom was good. I mean, you could throw a rock and hit a tech company, an AI company that was doing well. Then you had tech companies, AI companies popping out the blue. You had other companies that had nothing to do with tech or AI. Even Wendy's said, oh, we're going to incorporate artificial intelligence just to get their stock to pop. Just throwing those two words into things. And I even did a video talking about how I thought this was going to be a bubble, and it kind of seems to have started, at least at this point in time. If you go and look at stocks like SMCI, at one point this stock was up 345%. It ain't no more. Okay, you can look at companies like Intel, and that's a company I did invest in, or at least I tried to. That's absolutely fallen apart. Look at a company like Micron. Micron has usually been a pretty solid company. That has started to fall off. And the lesson here for investors is that anytime you start to see a irrational fervor or trending topic, and you start to see everybody start to flood a zone or flood a space, that is usually a red flag that this is something that everybody don't know what they're talking about. Okay, and that there is usually going to be a period of time, sometimes it's months, sometimes it's a year or two, where everybody's an expert, or they say they're an expert in something, they all invest in it, sometimes they make money, a lot of times they do make money, and then things start to fall off. And what truly happens is those who do the real research and who do the real investing, those are the ones who start to shake out and win at the end of the day. And there is a reason why there are only 2 stocks that I found right now, and these may not be the only stocks in the world, okay? My criteria is not everybody's criteria, but there are really only 2 stocks that are still surviving at this point in time. And those are Nvidia and Broadcom. NVDA, which I'm sure you know of, and then Broadcom, AVGO. 2 stocks we've obviously talked about many times here on this channel. As of today, Broadcom, again, AVGO, they're up 32% in the last 6 months and up 91% over the last year. That is quite solid. And then Nvidia, which again everybody knows for obvious reasons, up 35% in the last 6 months and up 163% over last year. Now, we've talked about Nvidia. We know that they have perhaps a hurdle. We don't know what they're going through with the Department of Justice. But again, this is why we have talked about these companies in the past when I said that these are investable and this might be a time to invest, and also a time to trim if you are someone who bought these companies in 2022 or you bought them at the end of 2023, just to trim, because if you made 163% on a stock, bro, take your wins, okay? You don't have to sell it all. I do not think that it makes sense to sell it all, because when it comes to something like a semiconductor chip, these tiny things that help run everything from cars, electronics, to the camera that you're watching this on, to the phone that you may be watching this on, to the TV, and all of the stuff that we are using in this world, we're going to use for the foreseeable future. I don't think this company is going to go bankrupt. Okay, even if you're looking at a company like Micron, I do think that there is a good case that for some of these companies, not Intel, but for some of these companies that may have gotten beat up a little bit, you might be able to get these for a discount, because we did still pass that CHIPS Act. That money is going to get out there, and that's going to help these companies, perhaps not today, but in the next 3, 4, or 5 years, as that money is going to get dispersed. Now, it's up to you. It is up to you to research and see which ones make the most sense and at what price you are going to get those. Would I buy SMCI today, a company that is rapidly falling off the map, at least from a stock chart perspective? No, I probably wouldn't do that, okay? A company that has went from a 345% gain to dropping rapidly 51 or 55% or whatever it is, that feels like a falling knife. Right, that's not something I want to catch with my bare hands, or at all for that matter. I want to wait till it hits the floor and then decide whether or not I want to pick that up. That is definitely something I would wait for. But Micron is something that has been around for a while. It's usually a solid performer. I would do my research and see whether or not that is something I perhaps want to get at a discount. See if there are some billionaire investors, or see if there are some insider investors that are buying that company. If there are, maybe that's why I want to start my research. If I am a momentum investor, maybe I can just hop on to Broadcom now. Maybe if I still believe in Nvidia and think they still have some runway to go, then I can just hop on to that if I still think, again, that those have some runway and some room to continue to grow. Many will argue that they do. I could be on that boat. And I'm definitely more so on that boat with a Broadcom than I am with Nvidia, but honestly, a part of that is my own bias, because I already have so much of Nvidia. I can only own but so much. Okay, I can't change my name to Nvidia. I can't do that. Not responsibly anyway. I have to own other things. Okay, and I do own other things, index funds, Apple, and all that other kind of stuff. So I need to protect myself and invest in other stuff. So for me, it's a no for Nvidia. I need to buy other things and follow my own rules, my own 5% rule. And I've been trimming and doing other stuff, which we have talked about before. And if you haven't seen that video, then you definitely want to check this out around what I'm doing, how I'm protecting my money, but also growing it in other capacities. But those are the two that I would absolutely look at in the semiconductor space. But the main thing, again, for investors is this is a trend every single time. Whether it's every year, every 2 years. We saw it with the whole NFT thing. We saw it with the metaverse thing. Everybody gets into something, then you start to find out, oh, wait a minute. Y'all sort this whole thing out. Y'all remember Web3? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember the whole crypto craze? Y'all remember that? Right? And people talk about what they think they know. Everybody is suddenly an expert. And then everything starts to shake out. And you start to figure out, oh, it's only about a few of these things left. Okay, a few of these experts left. There are a few of these companies actually left, and we see what is actually quality and what is really true. And it's sometimes why I like to just sit back and watch, and I like to sit back and read books, right, and do research, and then form an opinion and see what happens after all that stuff, and why I've been doing this for several years, so I can speak on experience as opposed to speaking on hype and speculation and all that type of stuff. And it's not shade, it's just experience. We were all here. You've been subscribing for years. We all saw it. We all saw it, did we not? But that's exactly what's happening with this AI craze. Again, I don't think artificial intelligence is going anywhere. It is a real thing. And again, semiconductors aren't going anywhere. But the truth is, all of those companies aren't going to win. It's the exact same thing I've said with EVs and electric cars. They all not going to be Teslas. They're not. We have seen this. Mullen Automotive, and it ain't looking good, bruh. We're going to see it whether or not Lucid and Rivian and some of these others are going to make it or not. Polestar, I don't know. They all are not going to make it. Some of them, unfortunately, they're going to die. Okay, some of them going to have to merge. Some are going to survive. I would love it to be Rivian because I like the way they look. Okay, that's just me. Okay, but this is going to happen in every single industry and every single space. That's just how America works and how the world works. Same thing with airlines and everything in between. But you as an investor, you have to protect your money. You only have but so much money. You got to make sure it's in the right places and that it grows in the right way, and that you don't spread it out and put it into things that are going to take a long walk off a short cliff, meaning you are going to lose. I don't want to see you lose more often than you win. Okay, we all gonna lose every now and then. I lost money on Intel. I'm still not happy about it, right? But that was only one loss this whole year so far. Okay, that's 1 out of 10. It's fine. Okay, those other 9 wins are gonna make up for that one loss. That's fine, right? What I don't want to do is flip that and take 9 L's. That's not fun. Okay, so you have to be able to separate those two things and know when to separate the BS and when to take a step back and when to separate the hype from the reality, when to separate the hype from the research. And speaking of research, I have already created a list of a few stocks that you might want to consider if you are looking for things outside of AI or outside of tech, and they're all currently under $150 per share. If you want to know what those stocks are and where you can find them, you want to check out this list right here.